This episode is going to look at me as a teacher rather than as a playwright, which is first and foremost what I feel I was. I wanted to be a teacher from quite a young age, and drama and theatre offered me the opportunity to have something to teach. I didn't have a big body of knowledge about drama. I was very much a creative practitioner wanting to create my own work, and that's how I went into teaching. My own experiences of school were I started off in the state school as a lovely junior school, went to a private middle school, a boarding school, which was absolutely dreadful, and there's recently been a whole abuse case about the atmosphere at this school, which went to court and stuff. I appeared in that. And it was a pretty horrible experience. And then I went into a grammar school for a year. And then that school went lock, stock and barrel and turned into a comprehensive school, because that's what happened at that time. And there at the comprehensive school, I found myself in a mixed ability teaching group and suddenly was really happy with education, as I had been at the junior state school. So that obviously affects how you view schooling. And my schooling, I had good teachers and bad teachers, dreadful teachers and stunning teachers. Mr. Cook would be my top teacher, who always believed in me, and I felt that the root of that was he was an RE teacher. I wasn't particularly interested in RE, but I just sensed he cared for me and he liked me. I'd had Tony Key at university, who again took to me as a person. He was a dance teacher. I certainly didn't like dance, but I hung on his every word. So that relationship thing was supremely important. Whilst I was at uni, I read this book. They suggested it to me, and I don't know how I came hold of it. Summerhill, A.S. Neal is the head teacher of Summerhill. And Summerhill was a very different school. It was a school that had pretty much no rules, and the student body kind of decided what happened, and they decided if there should or shouldn't be punishments. And that was very different, kind of the polar opposite to that horrible, repressive private school that I'd been to in the middle of my childhood years. And it offered a real opportunity for me to see that education could be different. I was suspicious of it, whether it was the right thing or not. But it was really interesting and set open a new sort of school. When I was applying for jobs, this job opportunity came up for me at Stantonbury Campus in Milton Keynes. And Stantonbury was famed for it having Christian names of all the teachers. So the teachers were known by their first names right up to and including the principal. And carpets in the classroom, which I'd never had at school. And just a real informality that just suited me down to the ground. I went for the interview. This is Jeff Cooksey, who was the head who set the school up and was able to appoint here, that's Stantonbury being built. So it was built as a brand new school. And he set the school up as a new school, and all the teachers he appointed had the ideas that he wanted to have. Later on, he spoke about Stantonbury, and he said this: "It always struck me as a rather strange thing that people called Stantonbury Campus radical. It always seemed to us as immensely normal. You actually treated children in the same way that you treat your own kids, and you treated parents in the same way that you treat your neighbours. And the school didn't belong to you, it belonged to everybody. And if you're out to get the best out of life, you could do it by cooperation. And if you wanted people to cooperate, then you'd use every skill, every trick, and every guile to ensure people did cooperate." And that's how it was for me. I worked in a situation when, as a sixth former, I was effectively a teacher working with young people, but I was one of them. At university with Tony Key, I was a teacher, kind of a volunteer, but I was nearly the age of them. And at Stantonbury, I arrived into this school, which was very relaxed, and I was the youngest teacher for 2 years. and I was effectively the same age as very similar age to the students. So there was a kind of equality that I just didn't even question. I got on with it. I've made friends with the student body there. I have kept in touch with some of them, not all of them, and some of them were at my retirement do, which is really lovely. And there also, it was a very unusual school in those days, and this is 1979. It had 4 drama teachers plus me. A very senior director of drama, more about him in 2 episodes' time, and a head of curriculum drama, and that was Luke Abbott, an absolutely inspiring teacher, and a deputy head of drama, James Fishwick, another newbie teacher, Richard Cheshire, and myself. Now, my drama teaching had been based on this kind of thing, Anna Sher, and this kind of thing, Brian Way, which was all little exercise dramas, where you had put them into 2s and they went off and prepared their improvisation and then came back and showed it. What Luke introduced me to was this lady, Dorothy Heathcote. Her work was absolutely mind-blowing to me, and another guy, Gavin Bolton. You'll see how much that book's been used. Gavin and Dorothy taught a sort of drama that allowed the teacher to become a kind of playwright, and you created a drama with a whole group of people together all at the same time, and it was just an incredible experience for me, doing more, thinking on my feet as a writer basically, but not actually writing, to try and develop stories that would help students with their learning. And I see that as so important to my development. And things like, you may have read my book, Drama Schemes, Warden X came out of that. It was a lesson I saw Dorothy Heathcote. I say a lesson. It was a theatrical show with no preparation that she led a group of students who had never done drama before. And she led them into one of the most exciting pieces of theatre I've ever seen. And I used Warden X with classes right through until the end of my career. Just a stunning person. I'm just going to show you some pictures to give you a flavour. This is me. That's what I would have been dressed in, just in normal clothes. I found teachers who wore robes and stuff very off-putting. So that was on a teaching day, on the bus waiting, going home. This is me and Milton Keynes, wearing a beard to try and make myself look older. Central Milton Keynes Station, that was at the end of my time there. This is one of the guys, unusual. We didn't have many people like this. This was Gary McLean, who was one of the students there. That was at school on a school day. More usually, Gary was an exception, but this was a group of students I got on with really well. At Stantonbury on a school day, all of them wearing jeans, looking perfectly normal, but were working hard. We got on with work again. And then this was the production that is actually, I did it in my first year in a thing called, well, they had day 10s and week 10s, which was every 4th Friday everybody would come off curriculum and do something different. I did drama for a day, but you had them for a whole day. And at the end of the summer term, we had a thing called Week 10. And in Week 10, this particular group developed with me a performance called Tommy in the Land of Dinnersphere. And that ended up being the play that's now published, Jamie in the Land of Dinnersphere, about school dinners. It was created in 3 days by a group of students, and then for the last 2 days we toured it into schools. Stantonbury was the most amazing place to start as a teacher. I only spent 3 years there, but they were probably the most significant 3 years of my life. And I'm sorry I couldn't do this one in 5 or 6 minutes. I really intended to do them all. It deserved more. I owe Stantonbury so much, and I'm so glad to say that right through until the end of my career, I was referred to as Mark by pretty much all my students, and that remained a tenet and a symbol of not being one of those robed teachers and having an open relationship with students where they were part of creating the work I did. And that also fed into youth theatre, where we had everybody being part of it and having a shared ownership. And that for me was really important. Tomorrow I'm going to look at the youth theatre work I did at Stantonbury, and one of those productions did kind of set up what was going to start to happen in the future. Thanks for watching. Sorry to take up more time than I should have done.